Hey everyone, my name is Liam, and welcome to my new Stardew Valley playthrough. I hope you enjoy your stay, so please, grab a cup of your favorite drink and a bag of whatever you like to eat, and join me on this Stardew Valley adventure. Okay, so for this farm, I wanted to do something different. I have never done a foraging only playthrough before, and I think that could be a really fun way of playing the game. Now, when I say foraging only, I mean that I will be doing no farming and no fishing throughout the entirety of the playthrough. I also want to clarify that this doesn't mean I won't be mining or fighting. I just mean that foraging will be my only source of income. So I will be making trips to the mines to gather resources, to upgrade my tools, and I will be working towards reaching Skull Cavern to get some of the rare materials. So just think of me as Pelican Town's local woodsman. Apart from only doing foraging, I want to focus on a few other aspects of the game as well. One of my goals is to ride in a hot air balloon. I've never been in one, so it should be fun. I also want to find the golden scythe. Not that it's actually going to be worth anything to me since I'm not farming, but it'll look cool and that's what matters. I also want to beat Journey of the Prairie King and Junimo Kart in the Saloon. I've never beaten either of them before, so I want to do it and get those sweet arcade machines for my farm. I want to complete the combat quests in the Adventurers Guild as well, for the bragging rights. And another goal is to make a magical forest-themed farm. I want to do this to really lean into the whole foraging aspect, so I'm also starting on the forest farm. I want to get a few Junimo huts to scatter around the farm as well. They won't actually do anything at all, but they'll be there to add flavor, much like the golden side. Now, without further ado, let's jump right in. On the first day, I immediately opened the options menu and struggled to find the sound settings. Nope, not there. Back up. There you go. After getting everything set up to my liking, I opened up the box of Parsnip Seeds and realized I would have to throw these away at some point. After grieving the loss of my ability to farm, I went outside and started to do some clearing. I found my first forageable, which marked the beginning of something quite prosperous. I did some more clearing, found some more forageables, and chopped down some wood to make my first chest. After storing all my resources, I headed down to the Cindersap Forest where I said hello to Jazz. I searched the area for some forageables, found a bunch of spring onions, and said hello to Haley. Then, I made my way into Pelican Town proper and rummaged through the garbage. Aside from just doing foraging, I wanted to focus a bit on doing some recycling. I figured it would be kind of a cute way of looking after nature, what with me being a woodsman and all. Once my inventory was full, I went back to the farm to drop off all my excess materials and continued foraging. I narrowly avoided being spotted trash diving by Maru. Honestly, I don't know how she didn't see me. She was looking right at me. Maybe the sheer shock of witnessing a stranger digging through the trash was too much for her. Anyway, I made my way up to the mountain before returning to the farm and clearing out some rocks. I struggled to break one of these bushes before realizing I couldn't chop them down until I had upgraded my axe. After that, I went inside, lit a fire, and called it a day. That night, I reached level 1 foraging, which unlocked wild spring seeds, which I would definitely be using to make some more money and boost my foraging skill. On the morning of day 2, I watched the weather and saw that it would rain tomorrow, which would come in handy for watering some wild seeds. I went outside, checked the post, and found an ad for a new backpack. I knew that I would need the extra space, so this became my first goal to work towards. I got a message from Willie too, but we don't care about that one as much. After reading my mail, I went up the mountain pass collecting forage on the way. I gave a gift to Linus and said hi before continuing down into Pelican Town proper, where I dug through the trash some more. I went to the beach after forgetting that I didn't want a fishing rod, but accepted it anyways because I'm awkward. After returning to the farm to store some items, I returned to Cindersap Forest to continue foraging. I gifted a dandelion to Leah before heading down to search for some more spring onions. It looked like there weren't any, but being the professional forager that I am, I found this cheeky little onion just sitting next to the entrance to the sewers. After clearing out the weeds around Cindersap Forest, I returned to the farm to chop down some trees and clear things up a bit. I crafted my first pack of spring seeds and called it a day. That night, I made all of 0 monies.
So far, this foraging thing has been pretty profitable. On day 3, it was raining, so I ran outside and stood there debating whether... weather. I debated whether or not I should plant my spring seeds, and I ended up planting them. I really needed the money for the backpack upgrade, and so far, this would be the only way to guarantee any forage. Afterwards, I ran around the village digging through all the trash cans, and I was interrupted by Penny, who was just standing there, waiting. The trash can just a few steps away from her was taunting me. I decided not to dig in that trash can, even though I really wanted to. I just didn't want to be judged for doing good by digging in their trash. Anyway, after being stared down by Penny, I went to the beach where I found my first lost book. I returned to the farm and planted some more spring seeds before clearing out some of these rocks on my farm. I also found my first geode. I honestly really love finding and breaking open geodes. It's super fun, and it's like a little mystery box. Before calling it a day, I sold some of the gold star forageables I had found, which marks the first monies that this farm would earn. That night, I reached level 1 mining and made a whole 87 monies. On the morning of day 4, I ignored my newly planted spring seeds and headed up the mountain pass. And as I reached Linus's tent, I saw something.
Linus? Linus? He was peeing in the bushes. I've never seen that. That's... Oh, that's so weird. I didn't know that was in this game. Oh, that's great. Okay, wow.
After taking a minute to recover from what I saw, I went on a walk through the village, but by the time I reached the beach, the thought of Linus and his bushes just got to me.
But yeah, in terms of attention to detail, with Linus peeing in the bushes, you know, like, that's part of his routine. You know, that was at like, what, 7 o'clock? And then he stops on the hour. Okay, enough about Linus.
I then made my way over to Clint's, where I found him peeing in the... No. That's bad. I broke open my geodes and found a few things that I could donate to the museum. After donating my new artifacts to the museum, I completed Gunter's quest, which earned me 250 monies, which I was super chuffed about. One step closer to that backpack upgrade. I spent the rest of the afternoon clearing Cindersap Forest, as well as my farm of any rubble. I also ended up finding another 4 geodes, which is just like Christmas. I called it a day and reached level 2 foraging. On day 5, I got some mail telling me that the mines were open, as well as a letter from Robin telling me about a kitchen upgrade. After unlocking the recipe for a survival burger, the thought of a kitchen was pretty exciting. I ran into town and checked the quest board, hoping for something foraging related, but was asked to get stupid bream instead. I checked the bins and found some...
Not accepting it. Bread? What? No freaking way. Oh my word. We got a strange bun. That is so cool. Oh yeah, bro.
Now that I had a strange bun, it got me thinking about all the weird statues you can find in the game, like FORAGE and such. So I've decided to make collecting those a secondary goal. I got Clint to break open my geodes and found a few more artifacts to donate. I also got some copper, which was cool. I had donated my artifacts, which earned me a reward, but it just turned out to be some useless cauliflower seeds. I triggered the Lewis interaction that unlocks the community center so that I could get started on donating items to the Junimos. I've decided to help complete the community center because it seems wrong for a woodsman to side with Joja. This decision may not actually be possible, but I'll still give it a try. The community center is very much a secondary goal though, so it shouldn't be a problem. After cutting down some trees on my farm, I had gathered enough wood to repair the bridge on the beach. This would open up another area for foraging, and I was super happy about it too, because I found a whole lot of coral washed up on the beach. I returned to the farm where I built another chest where I could put all the forageables for the season, and I called it a day, and made 100 monies that evening. The next morning, I was greeted by Clint at the door. He gave me the blueprint to craft furnaces, which was great, because after getting my new backpack, I would want to start upgrading my tools. I also got a letter from the wizard in the mail, so that's what I would be focusing on today. I paid the wizard a visit and had a sip of green tea, which was... Wait. What did you say this was again? So that drink must have hit me really hard because the next thing I knew I couldn't say spring onion anymore.
Spring onions, sun onions, sunions. Yep, they're called sunions from now on.
So I guess that's just what I'm calling them from now on. Sunions. I donated some forageables to complete the spring bundle and was rewarded with more spring seeds, which I planted. I called it a day and earned all of 0 monies that night. On the morning of day 7, I went foraging in Cindersap and found a bunch more forageables, and that afternoon I mowed my lawn and cut down some more trees. I also decided to start work on sprucing up the farm and planted some maple trees to line the path up to the mountain pass. I called it a day and reached level 3 foraging, which unlocked the crafting recipe for tappers. I also made a whopping 231 monies, which put me just over halfway towards the backpack upgrade. And that marked the end of the first week. On day 8, I decided to start things off with a little mining, so I got my sword from Marlin and got stuck in. I reached level 5 before going back up and bombing my way into the dwarves' cave. And later I donated a few things to the community center. I returned to the farm that evening to clear out some grass, and I also planted some more spring seeds. I called it a day and made 129 monies. On the morning of day 9, I got a letter from the Adventurers Guild to kill 10 slimes, so I headed up to the mountain where I watched Linus, for academic reasons, before heading into the mines and killing some slimes. I also found an ancient seed, which meant absolutely nothing. I found a couple amethysts too, which would make for some great gifts for Clint, and I reached level 10 before calling it quits. Don't worry, I will be going back for that chest. Back at the farm, I crafted my first furnace, and stood around smelting copper bars. I called it a day and made 60 monies, wow. On the morning of day 10, I was greeted by Marnie at the door. She offered me this cat as a sacrifice, but I decided to keep it as a pet instead. I shuffled through the names and settled on Game, though I did think Kungus was pretty hilarious. I made my way down to Clint's and gifted him with an amethyst, which he loved, and I then donated some artifacts to the museum and unlocked the recipe to craft those extremely worthless ancient seeds. And that evening, I went to the mines and collected some boots from that chest. I continued to mine and struggled to kill this lonely mole-looking thing. Wow. Wow. Gold medal, everyone. I reached level 15 and called it quits for the day. That night, I reached level 1 combat and level 2 mining, and I also made 47 monies. On day 11, I accepted a quest from Robin to fetch her axe. The reward would really help me get the backpack upgrade I was after. And on my way to fetch the axe, I found the motherload of sunions. I mean, just look at this! I collected Robin's axe and reveled in the glory of the sunions some more before picking them. In total, there were 23 sunions. I accepted a quest to give Pam some seaweed, then went over to Robin's to return her axe. I entered the Adventurers Guild to complete the quest, then I started mining. I cleared out an infested floor where I killed this little slime with a star on its head, and it dropped my first magnet ring, which was super cool. I was able to make it to level 20, and ignored my chest again. I made it home in time to pet my cat, and made 119 monies, after quite the busy day. On day 12, I donated some more artifacts to the museum. It was at this point that I realized I had some seaweed sitting in my chest, so I ran over to the saloon to give it to Pam and collect the monies from her. I decided to finally water the plants I had been neglecting too, since tomorrow was the egg festival and I had nothing else to do. I said goodnight to my cat and called it a day. I reached level 4 foraging, which unlocks the recipe for summer seeds, and I also made 97 monies. I woke up and watered my plants since I wouldn't do much foraging today. I made my way to the village and got teleported across the map. I didn't spend any of my money because I was very poor and I really wanted that backpack. I started the egg hunt and planned to absolutely destroy the competition because the winner gets a really cool straw hat. I don't care if it's up against children. I will show no mercy. The whistle sounds and I start hunting. I don't really have a route planned out, but most of the eggs are in plain sight, so it's not too bad. And I actually end up with 13 eggs, which is pretty darn good. I am rewarded with my straw hat and I run back home, ending the festival. I put my new hat on and call it a day. On day 14, I realized how close I was to my goal of 2,000 monies, so I made it my mission to earn as much as possible so I could hopefully get it today. I spent most of the day greeting the townsfolk in order to complete the introductions quest, and I managed to meet everyone by waiting outside of Sebastian's room like a weirdo. Eventually, he got up, and I greeted him with a warm, "Hi." In order to complete the second part of the quest, I gave Shane a dandelion, which he didn't like, but that's okay because I now have the money I need. I called it a day and made 150 monies, which meant I would have some extra pocket money after spending it all in the backpack. And that marked the end of the second week of spring.
Day 15 marked the beginning of salmonberry season, which was great because I love collecting salmon berries. I ran around collecting the berries and gifted one to Linus. I went over to Pierre's and got the backpack before continuing on my berry picking journey. I ended up with 63 berries, which was pretty great. I was hoping to set up some jam production later on, but I'm not sure that's possible without farming, but we'll see. I called it a day and made 348 monies, which I did not expect. On the morning of day 16, I got a letter from Pierre advertising something called fertilizer. I don't know, sounds kinda useless to me, dude. I spent the day picking berries and gave out a few gifts to Linus and Leah, and later that day I also cut down some trees in Cindersap Forest. I ended the day off having picked up another 64 berries, which brought me up to a total of 127 in just 2 days. Not bad. I hopped into bed, and that night I made 292 monies. Day 17 turned out to be the most interesting and eventful day yet, but I'm not going to show you any of the cool and interesting stuff that happened. Instead, I'll show you how I watered my crops. Cool. And I called it a day and earned another 168 monies. On day 18, I noticed some berry bushes hiding next to the road over here, so I decided to go around and collect them later. But before I did that, I went over to Linus and put out his fire for some reason. I also found a prehistoric skull, which was pretty nice. I didn't realize berries spawned here, but I would be keeping that in mind in future. I spent the rest of the day picking berries and ended up with another 74, which brought my total up to 249. That would make a lot of jam, hopefully. I spent the afternoon watering my plants and cutting down some more trees in my farm. I went to bed and called an end to a pretty fruitful salmonberry season. That night, I made 160 monies too. On the morning of day 19, I accepted a quest from Jody, which I would never do, and harvested my first rotation of spring forage. I accepted a quest to collect ores for Clint, donated a few artifacts to the museum, and collected this really cute chicken statue, which I was very excited about. I placed the chicken statue on my porch as guardian of the wood stack before heading over to the mines to gather copper. I mined some copper, killed some critters, mining things, and once I had enough copper, I went back home and placed some torches around the farm to liven things up at night. I crafted some more spring seeds and planted them before heading to bed. That night, I reached level 5 foraging, for which I chose the gatherer profession, and I also made 651 monies, which is the most I had made in one day. On day 20, I went over to Clint's to claim my reward. I was super close to being able to afford my axe upgrade now, but I would end up losing some of the money to buy Shane a birthday present. That night, I sold some forageables and smelted some ores, and I used the bars I got from smelting to craft some tappers to place in all my maple trees once they were fully grown. When I went to bed that evening, I had made over 2,000 monies from all the coral and shells I had collected so far, so yeah, things were shaping up to be pretty profitable. On the morning of day 21, I harvested some more of my forageables and sold them. I watered my remaining plants before collecting the bars I needed. I headed into town, where I accepted another quest to collect ores, and I then went over to Clint and bought the axe upgrade. I donated some artifacts, mined some more ores. That night I reached level 2 combat and made over 1,000 monies, and that marked the end of week 3. On day 22, I mined the rest of the copper I needed, and I also got a yam from one of the Duggies, which I donated to the community center. I claimed my reward from Clint, and just spent the rest of the day smelting ores for my pickaxe upgrade. I called it a day and made 152 monies. On day 23, I made my way over to Clint, where I retrieved my new axe. I watered his floor in excitement before breaking open some geodes. I also bought the upgrade for my pickaxe, and now that I had the copper axe, I planned on chopping up all the stumps on my farm to quickly level up my foraging skill. As I was rummaging through the trash outside, one of the bins just exploded out of nowhere. I'd never seen this before, but I was pretty happy about it, so I put the new hat on and walked around with a trash can for a head. I don't know. I returned to the farm and chopped up all the stumps, hoping for some mahogany seeds. I really liked the new trees and wanted to see what I got out of putting tappers on them. Probably something cool, like liquid gold. I didn't end up finding any seeds, so I chopped up all the little bushes around the place to make room for more forageables. I sold all of my epic gamer loot before calling it a day, and that night I made 803 monies. The next morning, I chopped more stumps and found my first mahogany seed. Today was also the day of the flower dance. I just stood and watched all the people because I'm pretty sure they were just intimidated of my trash hat. They clearly didn't understand fashion or style or how the bad smell wasn't my fault. I went home and that night I reached level 6 foraging, courtesy of stump chopping TM. This unlocked wild fall seeds and lightning rods, and I also made over 500 monies, so not bad for the flower dance. On day 25, I went over to Robin's to purchase some crafting recipes. I wanted to start decorating the farm since it was mostly clear at this point and needed some work. I accepted a quest to do some slime killing and made my way over to Clint, where I completely ignored the fact that my pickaxe was ready. I guess I'd been distracted in the 2 seconds it takes to walk over there, I don't know, but don't worry, it's not like this becomes a pattern or anything. Later, I was at my farm after having wasted a bunch of time, and it was right about here that I realized my mistake. I made a beeline for Clint's and just narrowly missed his closing time. I shook myself in frustration and did this. I then started crying using my watering can. I don't know. As you can tell, I was pretty upset, but don't worry, this is definitely the only time that I mess up. Luckily, there were some trees on my farm that I could angrily wail on. Some good did come from all that frustration because I now had enough sap to complete the sticky bundle. I called it a day and made 464 monies. On day 26, I went to the community center to complete the sticky bundle and was rewarded with this almighty, all-powerful, very useful charcoal kiln. I'm not bitter at all, why do you ask? I also unlocked access to the boiler room, so that's cool I guess. I then went around to Clint's where I totally did not forget to collect my pickaxe. There's no way I would make the exact same mistake twice, right? Right? I can't for the life of me tell you what was going on in my head. I did accept a quest to deliver some cola to Demetrius though, so I could make that my life's mission instead and just waste more time doing menial tasks for full-grown adults. Later, I spent some time doing this. So maybe it makes sense that I forgot to collect my pickaxe. Here's me realizing I forgot it again. I didn't collect my pickaxe. How many times am I gonna forget to collect the pickaxe? How many times? Like actually though. Ah! Like so bad. I'm so bad at this game. It's day 3. I just keep forgetting. It's because there's stuff there. Oh, no. He's gonna close soon. Oh! Oh! Oh. Clint. Why do you close at 4, buddy? I gave Demetrius his stupid cola before finally heading to the mines. I collected the upgraded sword on level 20 and broke it in on these slimes. I reached level 25 and called it a day. That night, I reached level 3 mining and made 317 monies. On day 27, I harvested the last of my forageables and sold them, and later I went to the Adventurers Guild and saw that I was pretty close to finishing one of the combat quests. So, I decided to go bug hunting to get closer to finishing that. I honestly encountered an insane amount of bugs. And I actually ended up killing all the bugs I needed to complete the quest, which was really surprising. I also reached level 30 in the mines, so I was slowly getting closer to that key to Skull Caverns. That night, I reached level 3 combat and made over 500 monies. I also heard an explosion somewhere on my farm. The next day, I searched my farm for the source of the explosion and found this meteor. This would come in handy later for when I needed iridium, so that was pretty nice. I went to town and accepted a quest to give Alex a copper bar. I collected a bar and took it to Alex's house, but he was busy, so I sort of just stood there awkwardly waiting for him to finish. After that, I headed up to the guild to collect my sword from killing all the bugs. I took it for a spin and it made short work of these little rock golems, which normally take forever to kill. I reached level 38, but had to call it quits when I ran out of energy. I was so close to finishing this stupid dark section in one try too, so that was kinda sad. Back at the farm, I decided to sell all the forageables I had been hoarding throughout the season, since I wouldn't be needing any of it during summer. And all that forage had earned me over 5,000 monies, which would come in real handy during summer. So that brings us to the end of spring, and the end of this video. I think we got quite a lot done, and got started on some of the goals I'd set out. I hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed playing it, and I'll see you all in summer. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.